All right, so we're back, and I'm gonna explain my supervisor review side of everything. So what we have right now is I have to open up two different screens or two different sessions, and I'll show you the reason why I have to do this here in a second. So over here on the right hand screen is what we talked about earlier, all my assigned bins and all that kind of stuff, not assigned and all that. So what we're gonna do is we drop into the supervisor bin on this screen over here. Now I've already done this on the left hand side to speed the video up, but so we're gonna break into the supervisor bin, wait for it to load up. Now we have both views of what's inside my supervisor bin on each screen. So I've already picked a map to do, so the Q1125 on the left hand screen. Now I need to find it on the right hand screen, Q1125, so we can look at the exact same map. So the whole purpose of this is on the left hand side over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my detail view, because I can't go into my exception bin. I'm going to bring up my detail of everything the inspector did and all the tags that I have to look at. On the right hand side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the map view of that. So here's my map view on this side. So on the left hand side, this is pretty much where all my work's done, and then I compare what the inspector did on the right hand side. So I know the video is kind of bad, so what I did is I did some snippets, and I'll show you a quick view of it blown up of what I'm looking at here. So I have no idea what this number is, Foyd. The activity doesn't really matter. Big number I'm looking at is this download notification number. Mainly it's these 800 numbers. And then right here it tells me the description of what it was. If it's an EC tag, it's going straight to the gatekeeper. What we're going to be taking care of is this overhead inspected new units. We're going to be taking care of this not fillable map markup. That's the reason that this fell into the supervisor view. This also tells me if the inspector did minor work at that location, and I can look at that. And then it tells me if there's a map markup, it says yes, and if there is an attachment. So we'll get out of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this first one, which is this overhead inspected new unit. Now, basically what that means, 9 times out of 10 what that means is that there was an issue with the SAP download from into the device to create the blue dot. For some reason, the blue dot did not show up onto the inspector's device, but it does have the GIS underlay there. So the inspector has to create a new unit to show the inspection, or it will show that he has a misstructure because it fires off of underlying GIS data. So what we do is we go into here, and now I'm going to look at this 800 number right here, 800-120-913. Now I have to find that on the map. So to find it on the map, the only thing I can do is zoom way in on this and look at these 800 numbers. There's nothing on this map other than an 800 number and a slash new for me to compare to. So I'm literally jumping between the map view and back to the detail view to compare numbers until I find the actual spot that he did. Now, I know this is zoomed in all the way that I can do. So what I did with this one also is I created another snippet to get it zoomed in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So this would be the 800 number right here, 800-120-0345. I'm guessing that's what that says because of the overlay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for this 800-120-913 on this map over here. So we're going to look for this. We're going to go through these green dots until we find 0913, which is this one right here. So first thing I'm going to have to do is these green dots that are green now because the inspector did inspect it, I have to bring the opacity down so I can see the underlying layer to see why did he create something there. Is there even a pole there or what? So as I bring the opacity of the green down, you can see that there is a pole there. Now, the funny thing about this is if you go into the identify function on the map and I select the identify of that structure, it tells me it's a pole. It tells me it's overhead. It tells me everything here on the GIS part of the view, but it does not. It has some kind of an issue with SAP. So the SAP again is what created that dot on top, or didn't create the dot in this case. So the inspector had to create a new unit for this location. So we found an issue. We see that, yeah, there is a structure. There is no blue dot. Now we can break it down into the tag. So we're going to go back over here to the left-hand screen. I got the row highlighted. I got to go into change tag. It's going to bring up the SAP view of that tag. So first thing I like to do is I look at the repair data. I want to see what the inspector wrote or said. So right here, he says new overhead asset info. And then he gives all of his information that he had to create. Again, because of this blue dot, he had to put down it was wood. He had to put down it was a 45-foot pole, class 3, and then he puts down all this different information on here that doesn't pre-populate, just to put that blue dot on there on an asset that's already on the map. So now that I agree with them, I'm going to go in here to the assignments. Now this will show the GL165 map correction review, which is the supervisor review. So I go in and I hit B for BLBI and the date today. So 07/01/2015. Save. So now that tag is updated. Now, the big issue I have with this whole detail view is that, let's say I get a phone call or somebody comes to my office. It's nonstop, that you're constantly interrupted. And I come back to here and this row is no longer highlighted for some reason. I don't know where I left off. There's nothing here that tells me what's reviewed or not. So what I end up having to do is I back either two things. One, I can dig into each one of these tags and see if I reviewed it or not. Or two, back out of this thing, go into the supervisor exception bin, and I can look at this row here and see that, okay, I reviewed 0913, but I haven't reviewed 0914. So my next one I need to review is 0914. So I'll back out, go back into the detail view of it, find 14. Here's 14. Now this is the next one I have to do. So now this map is small. This map has 12 units on it. Well, 14 units now that the inspector added 2 more units. But some of these maps I have 300, 250. And on the map view, it's so cluttered and overlaid that you cannot find this number. Some of the times the numbers will be laid over the top of another one or something. So the easiest way that I found so far to do this is what I do is I go into the detail view. I dig into the tag. I go into the attachments, open up the attachments. This is the only way that I can see what the inspector saw on his device. So I can open up his attachment. Now I can look at the attachment up here and I can kind of get an idea of where it is on the map. So I'm looking for Gold Avenue, and then it looks like it goes up and the line taps off to the right, just to the east of Commerce Street. So now I can go back up here onto the map on the bottom right, and I can see, okay, there's Guild Avenue, and here's Commerce Street, and here's Pine, and there's my new unit right here. So the opacity's down. There's no unit underneath there, nothing. So obviously there was a pole there that wasn't even GIS mapped or SAP, but the inspector found it out in the field. Excuse me. So now we can go back over here to the left-hand screen, left bottom. And what we'll do is we'll look at the repair data again to see what the inspector did. Okay, he put a new 45-foot pole there, added all of his information, class 4, all that kind of good stuff. I agree with them. Now I go into the assignments again. I put in my LAN ID, and since I had the date in there, it's easy for me to hit my B, and it pops right up to me, and then I hit 0, It pops up with the last date with 0 in it, which was the 7/1, so I can click on that very quick. Speeds it up just a little faster, and I can hit save. Now that one's done. So now, the last one on this map that I have to look at is this not in field with map markup. Now this one is easy on this map because whenever they do a not in field map markup, it creates a red X on the map itself on the right hand side. So if we were to zoom out on this, I can see the red X right here due to the fact that there's only one on here. So I see the pole. The inspector went out there. There is no pole there. He created a not in field with the map markup. So I agree. Now I can dig into the tag. I dig into the tag. Look at his repair data. There's no repair data because there's no pole there. So I go into the completed by. I can hit B for BLBI, 0 for 07115, and save it. Now that's all done. On the left-hand side still, left bottom screen, now I want to kind of look at the minor work. I want to kind of see what kind of minor work my inspectors are doing. So I dig into this minor work row, if you call it that, and I have a Y on this unit. So I can dig into the detail of this tag itself. And I have to go into the change tag mode, into repair data, and right up here on the top, it tells me that he installed marking for 10 minutes. So that's the way that that's the only way that I really know that the minor work that he's doing. So I can see, you know, if I have an issue or a training issue or anything like that. It's the only way I can get into it. So we're really not going to do anything. All we were doing was looking at the map markup. So we'll back out of there. Okay, so this was an easy map. It's real quick and simple. Oh, one thing I do want to cover is that when I look at these overhead inspected new units and I go in here and I approve it, that unit is sent to mapping. And mapping looks at the map and there's an asset there on one of them. The other one actually was a valid map change. But since SAP was conflicting with GIS and it didn't create the blue dot on this particular one, I just sent a map change to mapping that has an asset on the map but just no blue dot. So mapping looks at it like, well, what do you want me to do? So that was an issue for a little while until we started explaining the whole blue dot process and the green dot process and all that stuff. Now they know how to dig into it and change it in SAP and all that kind of good stuff. But if you have, like, say, let's say there was a transmission line with underbuild on here on this map. For some reason, there's a conflict where GIS doesn't accept something with SAP, and it won't put a blue dot on all of those underbuild poles on transmission. So the inspector actually goes through and creates new blue dots on every single one of those poles. So when I get it, I have 15 poles that I have to look at, which are mapped. It just happens to be transmission with distribution underbuild. So I got to approve it and send it to mapping for them to add the blue dots. All right, so again, we've already went through all of our details real quick. Now I can back out of this. My map is still highlighted. I'm done with it. I've done all my exceptions and everything. Then I go into the approve. It says, do you want to approve? I say yes. And I wait for a little bit. What it's doing is it's saving all the notifications, saving my LAN ID, and saving the new ECs and all that stuff into SAP World. Okay, so it pops up with this box, and then I can look on the left and I can see that all the types are green. If I had something in here that was red, I have to go back through and redo it again. So everything's green. I hit OK. There it goes, bye-bye. That map falls out of my supervisor bin, and now it falls into the approved bin. So I'm gonna stop right here because I got one more video I want to show you guys with SAP, and then we'll go from there. All right, thanks.